Good morning, Excellencies, Vice President, Ministers, honorable guests, specialists, and enthusiasts. Welcome to Techritory 2025 Day 2, and this is where a round of applause goes. I'm Valdis Melderis, and it's my honor to be part of this event for some years. And it has been a great pleasure to see how it all develops. We started it as 5G Techritory, then 6G joined in, and then we understood that it's about creating future. It's not only talking about 5G, 6G, or possible 7, but it's about getting together. And as we saw yesterday, the co-creation rooms were full of people working together and finding new contacts and creating new projects. This is why we are here. So it's a living ecosystem. It's not just a conference or forum. And this year's theme is Connected Futures Through Digital Paths. This is the way we are going. And here we have also a quantum researchers, 6G developers, defense experts, AI practitioners, and also theoreticians. Now, today, also as yesterday, we will be using real-time translation to multiple languages using Tildis translation device. Please scan the QR code, and inside the tool, please find the language which is suitable for you. And mostly we'll be speaking English on the stages, and you can choose the language you need translation to. If you would like to hear that in voice, please use your headphones. That's a Latvian language technology company, Tilde, which has developed a solution that enables conference and event attendees to follow discussions and what's happening on the stage in the language that suits you. We'll begin with opening words, then we will have a fireside chat. Very, very distinguished guests, and then we will have also two brief but very important speeches. Now, please welcome Minister of Smart Administration and Regional Development of Latvia, Raimonds Čudars.
Vice President Virkkunen, my colleagues, ministers, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Techritory Forum, where ideas meet innovation. This year's subject, Connected Future Through Digital Paths, reflects a key truth. Technology is now the backbone of progress, driving innovation and collaboration across all sectors. We must see technology not just as a tool, but as a fabric of our society and economy. It enables the free flow of capital, services, and goods across Europe, while also protecting our vital infrastructure. To move forward, we need a shared long-term vision for our digital future. The EU is working towards a clear goal. By 2030, everyone should have access to gigabit internet, full 5G coverage, secure and sustainable networks, and modern digital infrastructure that boost innovation and competitiveness. Latvia is fostering the EU key priorities: expanding gigabit and broadband infrastructure, advancing 5G and 6G networks, and developing satellite-based secure connectivity. Our efforts also focus on improving energy connection, crucial needed for the development of efficient data centers. Altogether, these actions contribute to the backbone of a truly connected Europe. Our vision is to implement responsible and sustainable artificial intelligence, built on trust, transparency, and national competence, so that small nations help to shape, not just absorb, the next wave of intelligent technologies. We are making strong progress in building a national AI ecosystem from governance and regulation to innovation. The National Artificial Intelligence Center, established in March this year, is a strategic hub connecting government, science, and industry to enable AI innovation through initiatives such as AI Regulatory Sandbox. We are creating a clear AI governance framework to define who oversees, who certifies, and assesses risk in high-risk systems. A consortium on AI factory antenna has been approved, and we are now taking the next step to assess the cooperation model for the industry, driven EU Gigafactory. I would like to highlight again Tilde Open, a truly groundbreaking open source large language model developed by the Latvian company Tilde with the support of European Commission. This model was created to promote digital equality, ensuring that every European language, even those often underrepresented, receives the same high-quality AI support. Digital identity is key to a digital society. In Latvia, trusted digital identity services are widely used by both citizens and institutions. Now we are moving forward with digital identity wallets. Latvia's experience plays a role in making sure that ID solutions are simple, accessible, and truly empowering for every citizen as the EU prepares to roll out digital identity wallets by the end of 2026. In Latvia, we are proud to specialize in quantum technologies, from building partnerships and networks to developing skills and driving innovation in photonics. The Latvian Quantum Technologies Initiative unites top scientists, educators to advance quantum algorithms, sensors, devices, and secure communication. I'm also proud to mention a unique silicon photonics technology enabling ultra-fast communication networks developed at Riga Technical University. Latvia is building its first national quantum key distribution networks through experimental quantum communication infrastructure. Together, these initiatives place Latvia at the forefront of Europe's quantum revolution, combining research, education, and secure technology deployment. Life and work in the digital age requires the right digital skills. That is why I would like to highlight national programs that help people gain essential digital competencies. Over 58,000 people in Latvia have already improved their digital skills in this year through national programs like the Digital Academy and Hands-on Tech initiatives, empowering all ages with coding, cybersecurity, data literacy, and digital ethics. Due to the unprovoked war in Ukraine, we are investing more in strengthening our critical infrastructure, defense, and resilience. We welcome the EU's focus on cybersecurity, strong infrastructure, and cooperation, especially in protecting its eastern border. The conflict has shown that drones are not longer future tech, they are essential on the front lines. That is why we support local drones makers with direct investment and close collaboration. In conclusion, from artificial intelligence and quantum tech to digital skills and connectivity, Latvia and Europe are building a future that is inclusive, resilient, and full of opportunity. Wishing you a successful conference, inspiring conversation, and partnerships that turn today's ideas into tomorrow's breakthroughs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Thank you. And now, please welcome Executive Vice President for Tech Sovereignty, Security and Democracy at the European Commission, Henna Virkkunen. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much, honorable ministers, dear audience. It's a great pleasure to be here today with you, and thank you for organizing this very important event in this topic we are speaking about today. And I want to also thank Minister for his, I think, very excellent opening words. And we saw that Latvia is very ambitious when it comes to digitalization and technology, but we know also that Latvia is a country who is really also delivering in this work. I want to start with this. Europe must master the key technologies of the 21st century. And then we speak about AI, semiconductors, and quantum technologies. This is needed for Europe to remain as a leader in the global stage. We must build secure Europe and secure European digital infrastructures from cloud to cybersecurity and connectivity, so that our data and our industries and our citizens, that they are protected against foreign interference. And in our digital transition, we must empower people. We must invest in skills and innovation. Just in this week on Tuesday, we as a European Commission, we published our work program for 2026. And the headline of this work program is Europe's Independence Moment. And it tells clearly that we have to build up our own capacities in all critical sectors. We have to make sure that we are not dependent on one third country or one company when it comes to critical fields. So always, in all circumstances, we have to be able to operate ourselves. But of course, it doesn't mean that we are planning to do everything alone. We also need, of course, trusted partners. But this is independence moment for the European Union, and technologies are playing a key role in this. I will first focus on some key technologies that already define Europe's technological sovereignty and the vitality of our democracies. I will start with the artificial intelligence, because we see also that it's a strategic pillar. My commitment as a Vice President is to place Europe at the forefront of artificial intelligence. And we are already boosting our AI capacities in the 5 pillars of our AI Continent Action Plan, adopted in April in this year. So it's about computing infrastructure, it's about data, it's about skills, also AI adoption and regulatory simplification. I will not go through all these 5 dimensions now, but rather focus on adoption of AI in economic sectors and also computing power. I would also like to complement the picture with chips and quantum technologies to show how we are acting decisively to ensure our technological sovereignty. We see that Europe has a very huge potential in the world of AI adoption. Our firms, they are holding more than half of the global market in industrial automation solutions, which is a cornerstone of industrial AI. But however, despite this potential, AI adoption at the organization level is happening more slowly than expected. Last year, only 13% of our businesses were using AI. I'm expecting that in this year it has been increasing, but still we are not there where we want to be. In this context, we need to promote now an approach where the potential impact and also opportunities of AI are systematically also considered whenever organizations make strategic or policy decisions. The Apply AI strategy, which we adopted recently, is our plan to do this in practice together with our industry and public sector. It aims to improve the adoption and integration of AI technologies in key sectors like manufacturing, energy, defense industry, as well as healthcare and public sector. By connecting European AI supply and demand, the strategy also encourages by European approach through strategic public procurement and promoting European AI solutions. The strategy also introduces flanking measures that support the broader transformation of Europe into a true AI continent. Now we will launch a process of discussion with different sectoral communities to ensure that our policies, they are coordinated and tailored to the needs of different industries. And we are also now heavily investing in world-class AI infrastructure, like Minister already told, because this is needed to train and develop AI. Our Euro HPC infrastructure has been identified by Mr. Draghi as once-in-generation opportunity for Europe to lead in transformative fields like AI. In fact, our 3 Euro HPC supercomputers, they are among the top 10 most powerful in the world. And that is something that we have done it together, European Union and member states. And however, to maintain our strong position in AI, we need to think now even bigger. That is why we are taking AI factories to the next level. We have already made decisions on 19 AI factories in different member states, and the idea on AI factories is bring together computing power, data, and talented people, industries, and public sector to train and develop and apply AI. And these AI gigafactories, they are already operational or underway. We have recently received an overwhelming response now to our expression of interest on gigafactories, with 77 submissions from 16 EU member states proposing to establish AI gigafactories across 60 sites. So after these 19 AI factories, we are now looking at the next steps, and it will be gigafactories, which will be 5 times more powerful than our biggest AI factories. And we are very happy that there is so huge interest among our member states and also among our top industries, startups, and all stakeholders to participate to this very important project. Alongside AI, chips and quantum technologies are also critical fields where we must act now very decisively to ensure technological sovereignty and also global competitiveness. The EU CHIPS Act, adopted 2 years ago, has already triggered over 80 billion euros in planned investments, launched also 5 pilot lines, and it's building a pan-European design platform and created competence centers in all member states. But now we have to continue to work, and we are currently working on CHIPS Act 2 to make sure also that we are able also to design and manufacture AI chips in the future. Additionally, also on quantum, EU has the world's largest concentration of quantum talent, and we rank first in scientific publications, and 1/3 of all quantum startups are based in Europe. And we know that also in Latvia, there is many very interesting projects going on when it comes to quantum. And now we have to make sure that our great science, research, and also the innovations, that they can really also enter to the markets. And that's why we are also working with Quantum Act in the Commission side to make sure that we can also pool this expertise and we can boost investments and innovations in this sector. Like it was said already by earlier, when we are speaking about technological sovereignty, we don't mean that we are planning to do everything alone. In June in this year, we presented a joint vision for the EU's external action for digital, our new international digital strategy. European Union has a very long-standing history of cooperation on digital priorities with countries worldwide. This includes our work through arenas such as trade and technology councils, digital partnerships, and also dialogues and digital trade agreements. EU steps forward as a stable and reliable partner, deeply committed to digital cooperation with our allies and partners. Because we see that no country or region can lead the technological revolution alone. In the international digital strategy, we propose collaboration around 3 lines in action. First, we will expand international partnerships. We will deepen existing digital partnerships and dialogues, and also establish new ones and foster collaboration through a new digital partnership networks. We have these digital partnerships, for example, with Japan, with Canada, with Korea, with Singapore, and we want to deepen this work. Second, we will also deploy an EU tech business offer to partner countries in Africa, Latin America, and Asia. And third, we will continue promoting a rules-based global digital order in line with our fundamental values. And in all these actions, we have a cross-cutting priorities, supporting tech competitiveness, economic security, and defense, as well as building on common interest with our partners. Like Minister already underlined, to be competitive, we need to have also very good and smart connections. And that's why connectivity is very much basis for all our innovations and technological developments. We see that Europe needs a legal framework that masters the transition of new technologies and business models. We need to respond to future connectivity needs and also ensure future-proof, secure and resilient digital infrastructures. That's why we are now finalizing our proposal on Digital Networks Act, which will be our new telecom rules for the future. And this Digital Networks Act will aim to promote European leadership built on competitive, sustainable, secure and resilient European digital infrastructure. And what does it mean in practice? The Act will aim to, first, improving market incentives to build the digital networks of the future, and reducing administrative burden and compliance costs for businesses, making it easier to operate, because we have to simplify our regulatory burden. Second, improving also digital connectivity to end users, ensuring that our citizens and businesses across the European Union have seamless, fast and reliable access to digital services. And also third, switching of legacy technologies like copper, which cannot serve the future connectivity needs. The DNA, Digital Networks Act, will seek to accelerate this process and the move towards fiber in line with 2030 Digital Decade targets. And now when we are here in Latvia, next to Baltic Sea, I also want to underline the importance when we speak about connectivity, of course, the crucial role that our submarine cables plays in securing and maintaining reliable connectivity and digital connectivity. We know that these submarine cables, they are the backbone of our digital economy, making their security and resilience absolutely essential. The European Union has recognized the importance of this infrastructure and has made significant investments through initiatives such as CEF Digital. We have seen that during the last years, we have faced several incidents on our submarine cables, and all the time our democracies are very much under attack, and we can see also that all our critical infrastructure is very much under pressure, and we have seen several sabotages also to that. And that's why we have to make sure that we are able to detect and protect and also respond and repair if there is damages in our critical infrastructure. And that's why we are also proposing to establish regional cable hubs, and with our first pilot in the Baltic Sea region, to make sure that we are having better situational awareness. And here we want to use new technologies and make sure that we are sharing data in a very efficient way to have really all the time up-to-date situational awareness and knowledge, and also that we are able to detect and also protect our infrastructure. And that's why we are also supporting these actions from the Commission side when it comes to Baltic Sea region and also protection of cables. And today we are also launching a call on that about the funding mechanisms to establish this cable hub to the Baltic Sea. Another key point of focus is also enhancing our repair capacities. We have seen multiple incidents, and we see that also very swift repair solutions are here crucial. And that's why we propose also using modular equipment strategically located in key ports, allowing for rapid repair interventions. So projects such as the Baltic Ring, they are doing more than just securing our cables. They are improving connectivity and also diversifying our communication routes. So, ladies and gentlemen, we see that AI, quantum, semiconductors, 5G, 6G, and cloud, they are not just tools. They are very strategic assets for us. Together, we can ensure that our digital infrastructure continues to support our economy and security in these very challenging times. I want to thank you, everybody, for your participation, and I'm very much looking our discussion, which is going to be, I think, continue very soon in here on the stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please stay. And please take chair number 1 for our fireside discussion. Yeah, that one, number 1. Thank you. Well, now we are moving into one of the highlights of this year's Techritory, and that is our fireside chats. And right after that, 2 distinguished but brief speakers at the end of this opening ceremony. Now, opening fireside chat, tech, trade, and tensions, the role of digital technologies in times of global power struggles we are in. Please use Slido. If we will have time, we will use opportunity to ask questions. That's the Slido. Use the QR code. Even if you are in Slido, probably you are in a session of innovations and technology, or maybe policy and strategy stage. Now, use the opening stage is the code, or just go to QR code and use that. Now, please welcome Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Latvia, Baiba Braže, also for the fireside chat in the middle. And our moderator, presenter, speaker, founder of I Love Productions, Marjorie Paillon. Marjorie, welcome to the stage.
So much. Thank you so much, Valdis. As always, and I will need your help, of course, by the end of this segment, because if we do have time, you'll have the opportunity to ask your questions to our distinguished guests here on stage. It's an honor to be with you this morning, actually, because we're going to tackle one of my favorite topics of all time. How can we envision tech and in terms of power when it comes to this context and times of global struggle? And to begin with, I'm kind of curious though, what keeps you up and awake at night? Is it all about the AI bubble probably going to burst us at some point? Is it about superintelligence and, you know, all the conversation we can have around that? Is it information used as a weapon, or is it the division within our own nations? Minister Braže.
Well, last night I slept very well after the
I'm happy for you.
three big deals, you know, the EU 19th package, the sanctions on Rosneft and Lukoil, and the Jas Gripens for Ukraine deal, I think made for a very good night's sleep finally. And that's a short answer. What keeps me up at night, that's the Russian war in Ukraine. Yeah. So we can discuss that also from this perspective here, but that is in terms of tech, we see it on the battlefield, actually, how the AI, autonomy, innovation, cyber, everything is used, and it depends for what the intention is. Russians use it for the warfare, for the aggression. Ukrainians use it for Article 51 of the UN Charter, self-defense. Yep. So it's no surprise we actually had the UN Security Council discussion on the use of AI. And what type of use. So I think that is where we look, if you ask a dramatic question like that.
And thanks for answering, as always, Vice President Verkunen.
Yes, I also slept very well because I was in Riga, and I know, of course, that Latvia is very well prepared for different things, so it's good to be here. But it's really that if you look now, our political priorities also in the European level, we have two clear priorities, security and competitiveness, and these are very much interlinked, as we know. So, and I see also when it comes to technological competitiveness that Europe is having everything what is needed to be very competitive in this field. We have excellent research and science. We have thousands of very promising and innovative startups. And of course, we have very strong basic industry in the European Union. And especially, I see that there's very strong linkage when it comes to defense and competitiveness. And Europe can be strong globally only if we are able to defend ourselves. And that's why it's so important that all member states are now investing heavily to defense industry. And I think it's also a great boost for our technological competitiveness because critical technologies, they are going very much hand in hand with the defense industry. So I very clearly see that in a couple of years, Europe will be much, much stronger than we were in last winter, for example.
Wonderful. Now, in the wake of major tech platforms getting closer and closer to governments in terms of power, of course, and the fact that we as a citizen do understand that we're not only users of technologies, but are digital citizens in a way. And the fact that, I mean, yesterday we were also on this very panel diving into the fact that 800 high profiles have signed the Future of Life Institute calls on superintelligence, trying to ask for a ban or prohibition of superintelligence and its development for the next few years. Well, I mean, my question is, the more we're entering a tech-driven democracy era, the more we do defy tech. Are we entering a new era right now? And again, your title is definitely about tech sovereignty, but also democracy, Vice President.
Yes, and I see, of course, that our citizens, they are very much key and core of everything. So I always underline very much the importance of investing in education. So we have to have very educated citizens, that everybody should have good literacy, good digital skills, also media literacy, because we see that we are very much under attack and our democracies are under attack. And that's why we have to build up the resilience of our societies. And of course, our citizens, they are playing key role here, that our citizens, they should have also the tools to really analyze and critically think the information what they see in everyday world, in our online environment especially. But in the same time, of course, in the European Union, we will also want to make sure that also our technologies, for example, digital platforms, that they are respecting our rules and legislations. And I think we have very good digital rule book in place when we speak about Digital Service Act, Digital Markets Act, also AI Act, which is coming into force. There we have risk-based approach. So we see that most of the cases where we are using technology, there is no risk. But in the same time, we want to make sure also that in online world also, we are respecting our rules and legislation. So what is illegal in our societies, it's also illegal online. So we want to make sure that we have safe and democratic and fair environment also on online world. And that's why we have certain rules also in the place.
Yeah, well said, Vice President. I think we fully agree. And then, of course, there's the other part of what you asked, which is about, regulation. And is that enough? Is that not enough? How do we circle that square down to the individuals, their behavior, and how do we leverage the EU or other big regulators' work with the big tech or with the scale to make sure that individuals are protected. But in the same time, what we really think currently is important when we go back to tech and trade is the work of deregulation that the Commission is doing. And that is something that for the tech industry, where everyone starts small, there's never a big sort of invention that starts big. It always starts small, innovative, experimentational. That the regulation does not delay, that there is possibility for that small, fast, and possibility to fail. So permissive attitude, so higher risk percentage, not punishing people for doing something wrong, letting that field to be. And then also, of course, we are at a time of war, and we can say war in Ukraine is kinetic. The war against us is non-military, it's with sub-conventional means, cyber disinformation, the sabotage activities, and so on and so forth. Just look at it. But at that time, we also have to have that ability to give the companies, the inventors, that financial support, that ability really to experiment and be successful in a very direct way. And that is where I think we are missing. And that's why also removing those barriers, but also not necessarily being ambitious about something huge, European champions, but actually allowing that base, that multiple scale of companies to experiment and get the chance to be successful is crucially important in our view.
If I do hear you well, what you're asking actually to the European Commission out there is to be a little more agile when it comes to regulating European companies?
I think it's national, European level, there are always the fashion word used to be guardrails, and how do we work within that? But again, it's that enabling environment for the innovation, and that's academic to private, that's defense, civilian. It's really literally taking down those obstacles at a smaller scale where we allow the companies to grow and experiment while being in a safe environment. So that is also something. The big computing possibilities that the Commission is creating, that gives for smaller companies that save space to develop. And that is, again, the issue is at the national level then. How do we use that opportunity?
Yeah, we see also clearly that Europe has to become much more, we have to become much more easier and faster and simpler for the businesses, and that's why Commission is very committed to simplify our rules, and all the commissioners are supposed to look our own sector, that how we can cut red tape and bureaucracy and how we can simplify the processes. And I'm currently working now with the digital rules, so on 19th of November I'm supposed to propose my package, digital simplification package, and we are very much focusing now in this package to cybersecurity rules, not downgrading them, but we have a lot of different reporting obligations there. So we are simplifying the things and making it easier for the businesses. And also we are looking our data rules, so we want to make it also easier to use data for innovations and AI. And we are also looking the overlapping parts we have in different digital rules, but also with the other legislations, really to make it easier for the companies. Especially we are looking, of course, startups and SMEs, because they don't have the same resources to comply with the rules. Of course, the big tech, they have all the resources always, and it's not so difficult for them if there's a lot of regulation, but especially for small companies. But like the Minister said also, it's not only about the digital rules. Overall, we have to create more single market, because it's a problem that often we have too many different approaches in different member states, too many barriers in the European markets. And special problem for our startups and small companies is really access to finance, because we see that we have thousands of very promising startups. For example, when it comes to AI, according to our information, there's about 7,000 startups in the European Union who are training and developing AI. One obstacle for them has been really access to computing capacity, and that's why we are now investing together with member states to give also computing capacity for small companies. But then the second thing is really access to capital, and annually, quite same amount of startups are established in the European Union than in USA. But then when we look about the scale-ups, only 8% of the scale-ups are in the European Union and 60% in USA. So it very clearly tells that our startups, they are often moving to USA to scale up their businesses because of access to capital and access to markets. And here clearly we have to be much better.
And you were definitely referring to Mario Draghi during your keynote speech here on this very stage. Well, I mean, a year ago, Mario Draghi was trying to make the case for Europe to embrace investment and innovation, or basically perish or die. A year after, he definitely thinks we're still not there. So what kind of wake-up call are we waiting for?
I think that the European Commission has delivered a lot during these first 10 months we have been in the office. But of course, it's not enough that we are making proposals, because then always the co-legislators, so European Parliament and member states, they have to agree, and the process is quite slow. So we would like to see, of course, a faster process.
That's one part of the beauty of Europe.
But everybody has to, of course, do our part. And it's not enough that we are acting in the European Union level, because often, of course, it's also member states and regions and even municipalities. For example, if we speak about permitting processes, for example, for the new investments, it can be very lengthy processes.
Minister Breget.
No, absolutely, I fully agree. And also that tradition of procurement, not allowing single source procurement at a smaller level. Because what you need for those SMEs is actually speed, the quick allocation, because that immediately relates to the scale-up, to the ability to really be the first to be successful. And there, actually, I would take lead from the leaders' declaration at NATO summit, which clearly calls for the more risk taking in not only defense industry per se, but actually the defense tech and everything around it. And looking at the lessons learned from the war in Ukraine, the speed and decentralized way how Ukrainians have been able to take on, adapt and use technology for the real success on the battlefield. Obviously, we have different rules. We are not at war, kinetic war. But I think there is something to be taken on between the EU-NATO in simplifying the really ability to take both decisions, but also award finances. We have an SME which was successful in EDF, and they got an award, you know, for development. It took a year for research and development. And I'm not criticizing you. That's the way procedures are, and it's just too slow. We don't have that time. We don't have that time, and nationally we cannot always bridge that gap. In that respect. But there, I would say, really the more permissive work between the EU and NATO, between EU and national level, NATO and national level, on allowing this type of rapid advancement and rapid adoption is a key.
We do hear actually what you're saying here on keeping up with the pace of innovation and not slowing it with regulation. But still, let me dive on regulation for a quick second here with you, because is European digital regulation still effective at a time when an American administration defies the European Union to use it?
I think we have very robust and fair rule book when it comes to digital, and I think it's always important also to underline that we have same rules for everybody. So it's for the European companies, for Asian companies, for American companies, but we have more obligations for the big ones. Because they are also posing higher risks. So, for example, in Digital Service Act, we have that kind of obligations, for example, that very large online platforms, which have more than 45 million users in the European Union, so it means that at least 10% of our citizens are using them, they have to all the time assess and mitigate the systematic risks what they are posing. For example, for our democracies, for our people's well-being, they have to protect minors. So there is obligations that we want to make sure that we have safe and fair environment also, because we know that technology is also posing risks.
But to be honest, over the summer when Ursula von der Leyen went to Washington and tried to make this deal with President Trump about the 15% of tariffs when it comes to commercial exchange in between the US and the EU, are you certain we didn't trade it off, one part of our digital regulation?
It was very clear from our side all the time in these trade negotiations that our digital rules, they are not part of the negotiations, because we, as a European Union, our member states and European Parliament are very committed to enforce these rules. So they were not part of the negotiations. Of course, we know that why USA wanted to have this 15% tariff, it's that they think that they would have more jobs in USA, so they try to create more jobs to USA with these trade barriers. And in the European Union, we see that these tariffs or trade war, it's not benefiting anyone, but this is now the deal that we have with USA.
I agree, actually. It's not only the current US administration, the previous administration had the same objectives. They tried to achieve it with different means, with more sort of incentivizing companies moving to the US. So not so much restrictive on trade, but actually more subsidizing the sort of green, renewable, and so on and so forth. But it's not going to change. I mean, we have seen that throughout the last at least 4 or 5 US administrations, that big shift, that they don't want just to be the consumer and security provider, but they want to have more jobs in the US, long-term jobs, production industry, and so on and so forth. And in the same time, more responsibility on all the allies, but also on the partners in Indo-Pacific and around the world in investing in defense and security. And it's a fair point. Whether the means are right, then, you know, the trade negotiations start, all the other sort of elements come in. And then, of course, within the EU, we all work towards figuring out what our interests are. So for Latvia, at least, that trade deal looks okay for now.
Well, sure. Go
Yeah, and I think it's also interesting to see now when there is so much uncertainty in the global environment, and Europe is often seen very slowly and bureaucratic, like we are. We are too slowly and too bureaucratic. We want to change it. We want to be faster and simpler and easier for the businesses. But also, Europe is seen as a reliable and trustworthy partner. So we can say that all the countries all over the world, they are very willing to cooperate with the European Union. And we see also that Europe can be a very attractive place for investments, because the industry and investors, they can trust to our rules. So they know that the processes are slowly here, but in the same time, this is trustworthy environment for investments, because nothing is changing overnight in the European Union. Sometimes it's bad that it's not changing overnight, but because we have always certain democratic processes. And that's why it's also very important that we are taking care of our rule of law, for example, because it's also very important for the investments that the investors, they can trust to justice systems of different member states, that everybody is equal before the law, and always when they are investing to certain country, that they can also trust to the procedures there.
I would definitely agree with you that probably previous American administration were a little more shy at showing what the end game was when it came to fighting European regulation over tech companies. But yet, there's probably one shield we can use, it's sovereignty. So I'm kind of curious to learn what's your definition of any digital, industrial, economical sovereignty, and can we also agree on the fact it's not only a political type of perspective, but also a very effective business tool out there? Can we think about a Buy European Act, for instance?
Why don't you speak about China?
If we are looking current situation in the European Union when it comes to technologies, 80% of our technologies is coming outside. So the higher tech is coming very much from the USA, and the lower tech is coming from China. And we see that it's not very realistic even to think that we could, do everything ourselves if now 80% is coming outside. But for us, it's very important that we are identifying all the critical fields where we have to have our own capacity, where it's too risky to be dependent on one country or one company. And that's what we are doing now, that we are investing to certain critical fields of technologies. And this is, of course, something that all the industries and public sectors are also doing. They are looking also what kind of services they are using and what kind of dependencies there is. Europe has been very open for global investments. And we see also that nowadays all these dependencies, they can be also weaponized against us. And that's why it's so important to build up the resilience and always make sure that we have always plan B or C if something is happening on our value chains. And we see also that Europe, we have a very good services also by European companies. For example, when we speak about technology and digital field. But often they are smaller companies, and those companies are not so visible in the European markets. But I see clearly that we should use more European preference, and that's why we are also now revising our public procurement rules. But already now, there's much opportunities for public sector, for example, to buy more European alternatives, and also for the industries. And I know that there's huge interest towards that. And for example, currently we are preparing our Cloud and AI Development Act. And when it comes, for example, to cloud services, there is already many European alternatives, but they are not so visible.
And we obviously all witnessed what happened with AWS in the US, but also affected the EU's application and internet sector of the past few days. If we do rely on one single cloud operator, things can go south pretty quickly.
Yes, and Latvia didn't suffer last summer when there was that outage among the airports. So we were okay. We have our solutions. But again, going back to sovereignty. So especially for smaller languages, for smaller countries like ours, whether Finland or Latvia. So how do we ensure in the time of tech development, in the time of AI, what is that? And how does it relate overall to the countries, to the nations? So I think the use of our languages in the AI, and that's why we have been supporting Tilde so much, to have that language. existing, to have that nation existing, we need to consciously support the use in the AI and modern technology. So that is one thing where it's not anymore about the books or papers or folk songs, but it's actually really about the tech and conscious leadership. Then the second element, obviously the European Union, it's also a territory. So physically in Schengen, okay, there are some, crossings at certain times imposed for certain reasons, but overall it's a free travel territory. In terms of data and tech, it's not. The digital single market doesn't exist. The rules that SMEs, and we only have SMEs, we don't have what you would say at the global stage, the huge companies. For them to compete in the European market, there are so many different regulations. And as I said, from procurement to operations to, I don't even speak about tax and so on and so forth. But also then, how do you measure success? and the whether, at some moment the offer from a big country in Asia to be successful is very interesting offers that they make to the companies. And if we don't have that offer in Europe, it will go somewhere else. Because they want to be successful. And then they become successful, but there is a risk in it. So look at Nexperia.
Can we turn that risk into opportunities?
Yes, because when it comes to this, that we don't have really single markets, so I think we have huge potential in our single market, and we should really remove the barriers between single market. But we know that different member states, for example, they have different labor laws and different taxation systems, and of course, it's creating problems for the companies who want to operate in a bigger area cross-border. And that's why we have very interesting idea and initiative now in the Commission side, so-called 28 regime. So we are preparing that kind of initiative that we could have 28 regime for these innovative companies who are operating in several member states, and they should have one taxation rules, one labor rules, one corporate legislation. And we are proposing to publish our idea and the initiative and legislation now in March. So we are working on that, and we hope that our member states will support the initiative also. So we would test that. What does it mean that if we could have that kind of 28 regime for innovative companies, really to operate cross-border without barriers in the European Union?
Well, that sounds quite like a test to me for the 28 member states here in Europe. Valdis, we do have one question, I think.
Yes, and of course that question is about speed of Europe. Yes, and literally it says by Imans, in some sectors Europe is a tech colony for US and China, and only 10% of Draghi's report has been implemented. What and how to change this trajectory? You've mentioned already, of course, we have many stages and many countries involved. Is it possible? What are next step tomorrow?
I would change the procurement. I think the big drag for all, both in the public sector, when you have the regulation which is not permissive for risk. So you have the attitude from whoever awards contract tenders, also for small companies, applying the same rules as for big tenders.
So are you saying it's not about regulations, it's about our culture?
No, it's about the regulations, because if you have the state audits, the EU Court of Auditors publishing their reports, or at the national level, our auditors then coming after, civil servants or politicians awarding more permissive risk-free risk-enabling contracts at a, single source, it will be a scandal. It will be, if not a criminal case, it will be a scandal. So elaborating that what leaders agreed at NATO summit, that there is that more risk-enabling environment, plus changing the procurement rules for smaller, medium-sized companies, really allowing them to experiment, fail, and then start again. and plus celebrating success in various ways is something that in the tech sector, I think there is no other way. What we changed, what works, what might be interesting also for other countries a few years back was actually the share options for the startups. And that is one thing that actually we have ever-growing startup community. But then again, we need to top it up with that ability to really enable them to scale up and succeed.
Thank you.
Yeah, there is not really one silver bullet to speed up the processes, but really 1 year ago when Mario Draghi was published his report, he was underlining this is now or never moment for Europe. And now I think it's even more now or never moment for Europe. So, because we are in a very this very important time where we are now, when we look at the global competition where we are and how security and technology and competitiveness, they were so strongly interlinked. So those countries who has the technological capacity in the future, they have very much power on economics and also in security. And that's why it's so important that we are really boosting the investments now. We have a lot of funding also in the European Union, but it's also about our culture. Our households, they have more than 30 trillion euros in the savings accounts in the banks. So the Europeans are, like we already talked earlier, we are not so willing to take often risks. And that's also that we are moving too slowly. Now when we look what is happening globally, we should be much faster and we should take more risks also.
Well, it's definitely a make or break type of question out there, but let me just add that by the time we're having this conversation here in Riga and diving into the speed of regulation, the way we can just simplify the way to make it, well, China is having its own meeting right now, and what they're doing here is getting a planification for the 5 years ahead. And what they're trying to aim by 2030 is to be a leader when it comes to every single part of technologies we've been diving into today. So
I think one thing also that we can look at is we have a lot of academic success. And the fact that, you know, there is some in academic press, there is China, you know, taking so many patents and so many patents. Actually, when you look at the detail, it's not exactly that, because the system of awarding patents and the competition and peer review in China is entirely different than it is in Europe or the US. But so whether in the Europe or wider Europe, there's a lot of academic success. How do we use that for commercializing? And there are countries and places where it's more successful, but to serve also that success in technologies, to serve that success in pharmacy and elsewhere. So conscious enabling of transfer of innovation from science to private sector success. And again, that's not always easy. Also in defense civilian sector, not always easy, but you know, by creating those safe environments, by creating the ability to test exercise in real life, that would work.
Yeah, but I see very much that this is also very good news that we have everything what is needed to be competitive, because we have excellent research and science that we know, and we have also thousands of innovative startups. We have very strong industrial bases in the European Union, and we have also money here, but now we have to really make sure that we are boosting the investments also, and we are also making business with our innovations, because too often it has happened that the innovations are made in Europe, but the other continents are making business of our innovations, so they are not entering to the markets here. And we have to make sure that we are changing that.
So the official statement is the time is now.
Time is now, and time is finished also from what I see.
Thank you.
But, but one thing that the Vice President said, I think it's also important for the Latvians here and the Baltic Nordics here, that Nordic-Baltic region is really the fastest and most innovative regions, both in EU and NATO. There is so much development happening, and when I look at the quantum community in our countries, Latvia, Denmark, Finland, Sweden, and the scientists working together, and there is an excellence in quantum sensors, in encrypting, in key development. It's all there. So now, next stage. Whether that goes into GPS-free targeting for the military, whether it goes in safe comms, it's all there. So it's about testing, enabling an environment, and supporting success.
Thank you, Minister.
Yeah, we see also that Baltic area is very much a center of different policies now. We see it in the security, of course, that these countries around Baltic Sea, they are very much in center. But also when we look technologies and digitalization, like Minister said, these countries, Nordics and Baltics, they are leading in digitalization and in technologies. And I also see that in the European level, it's important that these countries are also pushing more the whole European Union to go faster forward with the technologies and with the competitiveness. And I think also the security situation, it has been really tightening, I think, the networking around Nordics and Baltics. And I see that it's very good for our security and also for our competitiveness. So I'm also calling everybody to keep up the good speed and also to push whole European Union to move faster when it comes to technologies and digitalization.
Thank you, Vice President. And thank you, our moderator, Marjorie. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yes. And now, yes, thank you very much. Once again, a round of applause to our fireside chat. Well, thank you. Thank you. Please welcome now the Minister of Defense of the Republic of Latvia, Andris Sprūts. Welcome to the stage. Mr. Minister.
Vice President, Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished organizers and participants, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends. First of all, it is a great honor, great pleasure, great delight for me to be here with you today, because this is an important forum. It is an important forum for all of us. And you, as a community of decision makers, the representatives of non-governmental institutions, innovation community, industry, absolutely are key stakeholders in moving forward the borders of innovation and technological development. And I'm also sure that today it's not just about discussions. It is also about action in terms of common projects, in terms of common collaboration activities, in terms of solutions. This is absolutely crucial that we are moving forward also in practical terms. And what we hear on the stage, Vice President, Ministers, that there's some important principles. Principle of right mindset, principle of investment in innovations and technologies. The speedy deliveries are absolutely crucial in this regard. So also the whole agility of the whole system is very important and instrumental. And we, at the Ministry of Defense, we are proud to support this event because technologies and defense go hand in hand. It's unimaginable, the defense without innovation, and vice versa, innovation without building defense capabilities. In business, we know the saying, innovate or die. And literally, in Ukraine, in brutal war in Ukraine, this is what we see. And here the role of technologies in a current warfare, in a future warfare, and once more, witnessed by all of us, what we see in Ukraine, this is indispensable. So the innovations in autonomous systems, electronic warfare, cybersecurity, communication systems, how we can integrate all these things together are absolutely the game changers, and we must take into account. Ukraine is making titanic effort to fight Russian aggression, and we can also learn some lessons from Ukraine. What is the right mindset? I was just recently myself in Ukraine, and I saw the vibrant, dynamic community of innovators, of industry working together hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder with armed forces. And we also can make those lessons, the right DNA that local industry, especially startups within joint international efforts are absolutely crucial. So this ensures advantage, it ensures the ability also to defend. So the modern warfare demands The modern defense capability buildup demands a startup DNA. In combination with a right mindset, in combination with speedy actions, and also with this overwhelming principle of agility, we have to adjust all the time, permanently. And cooperation in this regard is also very crucial. It ensures competition, but it ensures also the moving forward with those efforts together. And Latvia is doing its homework. Of course, as the Minister of Defense, I can just underline it. We are developing actively all the defense capabilities, hand in hand, step in step with also building up innovative community. We just published the first defense industry and innovation support strategy. Of course, I can elaborate in detail, but I would just put a few principles. Defense industry in innovation strategy. And here we have a number of strong emphases. One is that military industry and innovation, at least 5% of our economy. So that's the goal in coming years. And also decision that at least 3% must go from our defense budget to innovation, to research and development. So this is how we see it. This is the vision. And we implement it. We implement it through the investment in defense, and this year already approaches 5%. But it's also through very active and clear steps forward. And directions are clear. Directions are ambitious. That what we have to do, of course, the cybersecurity, the artificial intelligence integration, the quantum technologies, 5Gs, but as I'm sometimes referred as a minister of drones or drone minister, of course I would underline the importance of autonomous systems. And there is ambition from Latvian side, from my own side as a minister. I believe that, of course, leading role is extremely important in this regard, from nation, from the governmental authorities, but again, working together with our strategic partners, industry, innovation, our international partners. We have built up a drone coalition together with UK. 20 nations have joined it. We are expressing our ambition also to lead capability within EU on drones together with our partners. We realize the importance of investment. Next year it will be 100 million euros just invested in drones. Within Drone Coalition, also building up our own drone army. Of course, investment, financial support, financial backing is important as well in this regard. But it's also about building up competencies. So we just established Autonomous Systems Competence Center, which brings together national competence and also international competence, international knowledge, where we can exchange that knowledge, where we can learn from each other. And it's not just about aerial drones. It's about land-based drones. It's about maritime drones. It's about counter-drone technologies. It is about integrating the 5G's artificial intelligence. The sky is a limit in this regard. It never stops. And we again realize that importance of agility. And testing and training is crucial again. Just recently I attended a drone testing in Sēlē military range. We have this range, the biggest military range in the Baltic countries, 25,000 hectares. So of course everyone is invited to test their drones, their autonomous systems. We are willing to do it in cooperative manner. Industry is absolutely the indispensable partner. So without industry, nothing moves forward. So building ecosystem, industry, innovators are again sort of important steps which must be done, important precondition which should be created. And it is already here in Latvia, but we see the ecosystem which develops all around Europe in this regard. And international cooperation. It cannot be done without international cooperation in terms of competitiveness, in terms of building the secure environment, creating the community ecosystem which moves forward and makes a like-minded community of democracies strong and powerful. And international cooperation, where Latvia takes, again, a leading role and is willing to take a leading role. It's organize important events like this one, and actually there is another event, NATO Science and Technology Organization event in Latvia, and we are also organizing Drone Summit. So I'm happy and delighted to invite everyone for a Drone Summit in May 2026. So you would be very, very welcome. Of course, I can go on and on drones, but not only. It's not just about drones, it's not just about autonomous system. It's also about other directions, as I mentioned. The cyber resilience. And it's not just about defense. It's not just about centralized approach. You have to build cyber resilience all along the community, all along different institutions. Everyone now plays a role in building a strong cyber resilience. It's about strategic communication, artificial intelligence. We just invested as well quite a considerable sum of money and finances in artificial lab in Strategic Communication Center, NATO Excellence Center, because we realize that to counter disinformation campaigns, to be agile and powerful in this regard ourselves, we need also to build this knowledge of artificial intelligence in different domains, including in strategic communication. Last but not least, the 5Gs. We have created in 2020 already the first ever test site, 5G test site in Ādaži military base, where we work hand in hand again with innovators, with industry, with our international partners. And we believe that integration of those systems, the coordinating, combined arms, combined technologies, this is what makes a real difference in this very fast developing world. So our core strengths is innovation mindset, speed, solution-driven approaches, and we can certainly amplify these activities working together. We need more cooperation. We need more exchange of knowledge. We need transfer of technologies. And of course, that's why also I encourage during this forum to focus on these needs, on these exchanges of knowledge and transfer of technologies, but also think in wider terms, how we are contributing to collective security, how our technologies and innovations give us this edge of advantage, and of course, how we can sustain agility in these challenging times. So I sincerely hope that this event is again another step forward in this regard. And of course, I'm also hoping that specific and practical solutions will be put on the table and we will be pushing our ambition and motivating each other further again. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Thank you. And we will close this opening ceremony by Executive Director of Smart Networks and Services Joint Undertaking, Erzsébet Fittori. Welcome to the stage and round of applause.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the kind invitation. It is great to be back to Riga and great to see the Techritory event growing, becoming more important. It is a great honor to speak after Executive Vice President Virkkunen and the dignitaries of the Latvian government. And it's also a humbling experience. What else is there to say after so much wisdom that we have just heard? What I will try to do is that I will try to focus a bit and zoom in on the role of advanced communications, specifically 6G, when it comes to the digital sovereignty, the economic security, and also the competitiveness of Europe. Then I would like to look at a little bit what we are doing already at the European level. What is it that the Smart Networks and Services Joint Undertaking and its projects are doing to actually foster European competitiveness? And thirdly, I will propose a few ideas for the future. How can we do it better? How can we do it faster with greater impact? So first of all, what you can see on the slides, on the first slide, is really looking at the critical technologies that the European Commission has identified for economic security. And what I would like to really just highlight, what is really quite striking, is the overlap, the interdependence with the components and subsystems of 6G. So if you look at especially the ones which are kind of in a lighter frame, semiconductors, artificial intelligence, robotics, sensing, connecting space with the ground, these are all actually either directly or indirectly dependent or part of the 6G system and the 6G vision. Advanced connectivity is there as a critical technology itself, but I think this interdependence and also the enabling role for other critical technologies has been increasing over time. And if I add also the positions of Europe and other parts of the world in terms of leadership in these technology areas, it is really important to see that advanced connectivity sensing are two key areas where Europe is leading. Europe is home actually to the global leaders when it comes to communications technologies. But perhaps it makes less of headlines than investments and global efforts in AI development. Other parts of the world, our peers, our competitors, are seeing 6G increasingly as a strategic asset, as a strategic capacity, and they are increasing their investment efforts in advanced communications. So the global race is really on. Why is advanced connectivity, why is 6G so important? Because we are actually moving through a phase of a paradigm shift. We are moving from connectivity as we know it today, 4G, 5G, to multi-domain orchestration with 6G. The capabilities will go beyond pure connectivity. One example that you can see on my slide is ISEC, Integrated Sensing and Communications Technology. 6G networks will not just be making data transfers, they will not just connect voice and data, but they will be actually networks capable of sensing the environment, sensing objects, sensing motion and context. And these new capabilities, I think, give rise to fantastic opportunities and also a new paradigm when our connectivity networks will be so much more. If you connect these new capabilities, such as sensing, also with computing power, with its native AI nature, I think we can very confidently say that we are going through a paradigm shift which will enable other sectors, which will be critical for what we have just heard, autonomous mobility. And by that, we don't only mean vehicles. It could be, for example, indeed drones. It can be used for defense purposes, but also really enabling the transformation of other sectors so that they can remain competitive in the global stage. We have also heard that the moment is now. It is genuinely now for 6G as well. The definition of 6G system in the 3GPP process has officially started in 2025. And it is both a huge opportunity as well as a challenge for Europe. Obviously, how the technical specifications and standards will look like and who will have intellectual property rights will have a huge impact on how these new technologies, these new intelligent platforms, which will be the fiber, basically, of our economies and societies and defense capabilities as well, will be controlled and leveraged in an economic sense as well. Something that is also very important for Europe, of course, that in the development of the new 6G technology, we would like to see European values, key values such as sustainability, privacy, built in, maintained, and we would like it to be trustworthy and secure by design. What I really want to leave with you as a message is that whilst
autonomous mobility or indeed collaborative robots sound like very futuristic, or indeed a network that is sensing and positioning and is enabling perhaps real-time digital twins. It sounds extremely futuristic, but actually this is happening right now in front of our eyes and under our watch. So what do we do in Europe? What is the European model to address these challenges and opportunities when it comes to 6G? It is the Smart Networks and Services Joint Undertaking, which is the European path, essentially, towards future connectivity. As we have heard from the ministers before, collaboration is very important in order for Europe to be successful, and indeed we are a public-private partnership between the European Commission and the 6G Industry Association as our private member. We are strongly associated with governments. In fact, Latvia is chairing the state's representative group of the SNSJU. Researchers, industrial stakeholders, we have them as strategic advisors. And we also have international cooperation embedded in our program. What do? We implement Horizon Europe, 900 million euros of Horizon Europe funding matched by equal private investments, and these are invested into research and innovation projects. Our impact is measured against KPIs, such as, for example, the participation of SMEs or the number of standard contributions or indeed the number of patents. And we deliver. As we have heard before from the Executive Vice President, Europe has research excellence, and I think it shows in the already existing outputs of our program. We have a portfolio by the end of 2025 of roughly 100 research and innovation projects and 630 million euros invested into these projects. These projects are working indeed on some of the key technology areas that will be shaping 6G, but the impact of these technologies will go far beyond, as I have explained, such as all aspects of native AI networks, also integrated sensing and positioning, security aspects, the integration of terrestrial and non-terrestrial networks, and also creating a European framework for sustainability in 6G, and also how 6G will enable the sustainability of other sectors. What you can see is really the statistics of the key technology areas that our projects are focusing on, but I'm also very proud that more than 1,000 standard contributions have been achieved from our projects. We are seeing key momentum in securing European intellectual property rights, and also we are managing the first 6G testbeds and large-scale trials with the vertical industrial sectors. So there is, I think, a lot of success in our program, but is this enough in the changing world where we actually need to look more closely at economic security, at defense capabilities, but also, as Professor Draghi has said, competitiveness? And here I have a few ideas on what we could focus on from 2028, when Europe will have a new multi-annual financial framework and a new framework program for research. In order to deliver on our challenges and also the EU ambitions to lead, to remain secure, independent, sovereign, but still open. First of all, I would emphasize the importance of continued research, even accelerated research in the field of resilience. This is a key area I think everybody recognizes the importance of, and here I think the integration of non-terrestrial and terrestrial networks will be very important, but also ensuring interoperability with EU defense frameworks. Secondly, AI, as you have heard, is the name of the game. We have a very strong portfolio of projects which are delivering the end-to-end concept and framework for 6G to be an AI-native technology, but we also really need to ensure that our advanced communications networks are ready to support the AI continent ambitions and the concept of networks for AI. This is what we have heard actually from Professor Draghi in his speech reflecting on 1 year after the Draghi report. We have heard about the ongoing policy initiatives. SNSJU as a European tool, as a European instrument, has to be aligned and contribute to the success of European policies, including the forthcoming DNA and Cloud and Data Act. We have heard, I think, from the Foreign Affairs Minister of Latvia, the challenge of translating, and also from the Executive Vice President, the challenge of translating European innovations, the European scientific excellence into monetization, into real commercial success. And I think that this is a key area that perhaps in the future our program should focus on. We have seen the challenges for monetization of 5G networks, perhaps actually investing into experimentation of business models, of new services to make the new technology more adoptable and more market-ready could be a key area that could address the challenge that has been highlighted by our distinguished speakers. And 2 final points. I know I'm over time. Collaboration. I think collaboration, our collaborative model that brings together all the key stakeholders of the private side, of the public side, also integrating governments as strategic advisors into a program is a strength, and we should really build on that, and we should use this collaborative model to build scale and federate better across the whole of the European Union. And of course, our roadmaps must remain anchored in European values and in European key political objectives. With that, I would like to thank you for your attention and wish you a very nice day. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Director Fitori. Thank you. Well, now we have a few minutes to choose your hall. Next would be Innovation or Technology Hall, which is right next here on the first floor, or Policy and Strategy Hall, where we will meet in a few minutes. Up there, just use the escalator, second floor to the right. And of course, co-creation rooms on the second floor also, or the expo. As you will, let's do something together. Thank you.